message. I kind of want to pick up from a part two. Oh my gosh. She says it's unstable again. Hold on. Okay. We're going to try it now. We're going to do a part two from yesterday, if that's the direction that Spirit wants to go. Um, but yeah, we're going to get this Palo Santo going. I hope that everybody's night is everything. Today was actually pretty chill for the most part. Um, a lot of messages were coming through. I even recorded a reading offline that I want to post later. Well, I'm debating if I want to post it, honestly. It was kind of vulnerable, for me at least. And I don't know, we'll see. But we're gonna get into some part two messages. I feel like I was picking up on a lot of love messages. Um, let's see. I didn't do any channeled songs, channeled words, anything like that, just similar to yesterday's reading. Um, but we have messages coming out. And then I had split the deck earlier to Spirit. So we're going to see what wants to come through. Angels, ancestors, spirit guides, higher beings of light, and unconditional love through my mother, divine father, Holy Spirit, for the best and highest messages for this collective. And if we want to pick up from yesterday, that would be amazing because there was a bit of a cliffhanger in the love department, best we shall see. Capricorn and communicating. Some kind of block in communication. Mercury mind. Aries I am. Second house owning. Okay. I think we're gonna do like a quick and dirty. I feel like there's a block in communication, and this could be showing up for the collective as a block in communication for them. Um, versus I feel like somebody else because we have the Aries I am card. I feel like there's definitely connect from on the mind because we have 4 wands showing up. Capricorn. 9 of wands in reverse, like something that's unforgiving. 7 of wands. Queen of pentacles in reverse. Not seeing the value in something or not wanting to invest more time into it. Maybe not seeing the value of communicating vulnerably because someone is holding their position. We have the 6 of pentacles in reverse, and so this is clarifying air element communicating in the reverse. And we were talking about yesterday, if this is a pickup from yesterday, we were talking about forgiveness. And there was some downloads that I got about forgiveness after we got off the live, about how nostalgia can be the bridge to forgiveness, where nostalgia, I feel like the depth that nostalgia can take you to, I feel like I have to correct myself, like, because I feel like even in my personal dynamics, um, and just in my own internal dialogue, I've said, oh, I don't do nostalgia. I don't do nostalgia. And I can see how kind of like low key that's kind of aggressive. Like, I don't do nostalgia. You know what I'm saying? But it's more so I think protective mechanism because I don't act on nostalgia as of right now. But nostalgia is a powerful tool, or it can be used as a powerful tool to allow you to still tap into the depth of the emotion that may exist between two parties. So like, hi. Um the nostalgia that I feel like it's the bridge. So that is an indicator, in my opinion, from what we were discovering yesterday and kind of feeling through it. Nostalgia is an indicator that there's still there's a emotional thread or some kind of like, whatever, connection. Like when I say there's energy or emotion, an emotional connection, I'm picturing like the thread between y'all exists because you guys can be feeling the nostalgia, like wishing for like past memories or an old timeline, a thread to an old timeline. And so I feel like the nostalgia is an invitation to feel deeper into the feelings, not to get lost in the feeling of nostalgia, but to act as a bridge to forgiveness. And as I'm learning and developing more into understanding forgiveness, I feel like topically it's a choice, but then after that, it's a feeling that defies logic because for whatever reason, both parties are not in contact or when in one another's lives, right? There possibly could have had some like harm done, right? So the mind is trying to protect you from being in harm's way again. So it logically wants to create distance or even, like replay stories to show proof, continue to give me proof as to why this connection is the way that it is or whatever. But the feeling that you feel, the missing someone, the emotion, the nostalgia is the bridge that can allow you to bypass the logical mind to be able to move past a situation through forgiveness rather than holding on to it, and you store that memory and it stays in your energetic body, you know what I'm saying, and it causes density. Um and so the heart has a way to relieve you of that should you allow yourself to explore forgiveness. And it can help you with I feel like shedding those barriers around the heart. Does that mean that you have to necessarily let somebody back in your life in the same capacity? No. But I feel like that's where for me, it showed up in two extremes of like the straight cutoff or, you know, whatever, trying to let somebody else back in or whatever. I feel like there's a middle ground and that doesn't necessarily always include another person. But in this case, it feels like the communication that it wants, um, it feels like there's an opportunity to exchange something of value when the collective, or the other party recognizes that there is some value in softening that thread to make room for communication or even make room for the nostalgia to come in, for the feelings to be felt or whatever. Um, the page of swords in reverse and King of Pentacles. See, we have a pair. We have a pair. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have the King of Pentacles, but we have the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. Like there is no budging in the communication. This is all clarifying Capricorn and then air element communicating. And so it's almost like an assumption that there's nothing that this person can give me. There's nothing that this conversation could give me. There's nothing I can get from this situation. And that's not necessarily true. It's showing that there's a lot of stubbornness. We have the sun, Mercury mind, and then the Three of Wands. Interesting combination for Mercury. So the communication could like quite literally bring happiness. It could bring at the very least, if it's not happiness, it's enlightenment, which would be happiness for the soul. You know what I'm saying? But like, um, it will shed light on something, and I think it would provide maybe not immediately, it's like a long-term gratification, type of thing rather than instant, but enlightenment is always, like I feel like it'll be preferred by the mind, but the mind also has its mechanisms to stay in the same place, so it's like, it's not instant gratification, it feels like, especially with the 3 of Wands, it's kinda like forward looking or forward focused, that could bring some enlightenment, through a conversation. The 4 of Wands in reverse, Knight of Pentacles. Is this upright or reverse? Yeah, reverse. Yeah, even if the conversation reveals cracks in the foundation, the instability of a connection or why it didn't work or whatever, um, it allows you to move forward in a stable way. Where I feel like the mind as it is right now, the stubbornness that is experiencing is it that creates cracks in the foundation, especially when it comes to whatever story you're playing about a connection is equating to you not seeing your value or not seeing the value in rewriting the story. And so this story may be related to other things like we were touching on in yesterday's reading. It's like it could be related to familial patterns, ancestral patterns, where the story needs to be rewritten. And so it's kind of, like spirit is saying this is what you need to do. Um, and even through yeah, this is gonna bring healing from a rejection wound. And I'm scooting this card over and I see the kiss, union, inner union, I feel like. But the 5 of Pentacles and the Star, this is clarifying Aries I am. And then we have 6 of Swords. Being able to transition something. By you being in your independence, you won't feel left out or rejected. I feel like this 5 of Pentacles card always stands out to me because there's like this man always in the background. This shadowy figure or something. But it's like you picking up on and that could be like showing up as the nostalgia here. It's like the shadow of a person. Um, but I feel like you move forward from something. Re-verify. Straight. The Page of Sword or Page of Wands. Yeah, it's not getting stuck in the shadow of what could have been. Um and being courageous enough to look forward to the future, even though you may have no clue where that's leading you, especially with the Star here and we have the 6 of Swords. It's like traveling by night, traveling in to the unknown, into the darkness. You have no clue where this is going to lead you, but Spirit is saying it's leading you to more independence with the 9 of Pentacles, feeling secure within yourself, feeling beautiful, feeling abundant. Listening to your guidance proves that you did the right thing, but I feel like the fact that there is this like energetic cord, like we are talking about the nostalgia, there's some story that needs to be rewritten, and it could be the thread can soften enough for you to rewrite the story for the mind. Um, I think through using nostalgia as a tool because we have the Strength card in reverse, and then we have the King of Cups again. Is like the ego and something with the King of Cups, which it can be Neptune. Neptune loves to play with the ego. So, and we have the Page of Wands. Yeah, it's interesting because this Page of Wands here we touched on a little bit yesterday too. going from the page to the King of Wands, it's like a transition or some kind of it's like a huge leap, you know? But we were talking about how the King of Wands is known for doing something and then asking for forgiveness later, you know? And so it's bringing us back to what was the original transgression, you know? Um, that may have shown up as like immaturely, you know? And what about the original? Yeah. I mean, it's showing 2 people that were kinda childish. It's not it's like it's 2 pages, you know what I'm saying? It's 2 children. So it could be related to childhood wounds, you know? It's 2 people being affected this way, you know? 2 people that may have experienced these, um, types of feelings, you know? Um But it eventually leads to there's an opportunity for heart healing should you go deep enough with the Knight of Cups in reverse. That's kind of like a feeling of emotional manipulation, you know? But I feel like that's coming from Neptune. That's coming from that nostalgia feeling and not feeling safe to even feel the feelings to kind of go back to the original transgression or, you know, series of things that happened that triggered some childhood wounds, you know? Because you have to ask yourself, "Why do I miss someone that made me feel so bad?" You know what I'm saying? You have to ask yourself that eventually. I don't think that people ask themselves that enough, you know? Or they do from, like, a victim mentality, like, "Oh, I just don't understand. Why do I miss her so much?" Like, use this information. This is information coming in for you, Knight of Swords. This is a message coming in for you, something that you can use this, you know? New information about yourself. Uh, the Ace of Swords and the Devil card and the Ace of Wands. It's a very slippery slope. Oh my god. I hope that you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? Can you comment if you can see this? Because I just saw that the connection is unstable again. If I'm gonna have to start pre-recording everything, I guess I will have to, but okay. So I'm like, should I continue or not? Like, but okay, so I was going with let me put these two back. Um, what the fuck was I saying? Um, we were talking about this is information you can use, but then we have the Ace of Swords. It kind of came out in Challenger, like reverse. And then we have the devil. And so I said it's a slippery slope. It feels like a trap almost to slip into to allow yourself to feel those feelings, you know, sometimes. But Spirit is saying there's an opportunity for a new beginning, a new start, a new action to be taken, you know, by the information that's coming in. But if you don't view it as this, you know, um and that's not to say like, oh, one way is right, one way is wrong. It's just like that there's an opportunity, there's information coming in through the emotions. The emotions can allow you to feel certain emotions can be information. You know what I'm saying? Can inform you about something that's going on internally, about a belief system or a story that we're telling ourselves, you know? So we have the Four of Cups in reverse and then we have the World. So it's like not, you know, the Four of Cups, she's just always she's crying over spilled milk, usually, you know? Or disappointed about a situation or how it turned out or whatever. And Spirit is saying, don't be disappointed about a situation. There's an opportunity to close a door and open a new one with the World card. You know, a big cycle closed, you know? And we have the Five of Cups here. So it's like I feel like this collective may have experienced um times where yeah, slipping into the nostalgia, you go more into the like sadness, depression angle. Um and it's hard to let go. But it perpetuates a story. I feel like it's something interesting to note because the example that I gave yesterday was somebody, from my past coming to me and kind of being in a half defeated energy, and it was very much of a turn off. And this is kind of giving a half defeated energy. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, where's the mirror? You know, for me, I know that's why I don't do nostalgia. I don't like to do nostalgia because I will get really sad, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of like affects my energy levels, and I feel like I put my livelihood on the line, which kind of leads to like the 4 of Pentacles, like I'm thinking about it kind of puts me in a place of feeling scarce. And this could connect back to again, Queen of Pentacles at the beginning, not the story that's being told is affecting how you view yourself as valuable or not, because it can turn into something that's victim, related, like victim complex, related, and it turns into a poor me thing that affects your energy levels, Um, speaking to myself, and Spirit is saying that the 7 of Swords underneath that's an illusion, that's a lie, Um, where nostalgia presents itself, there's also this crossroads feeling. It's coming up as like you have 2 options of, not just 2, but there's many different ways that you can use this information that's coming in to tell you, to reveal to you your belief system around a story that's being told or that had happened, and you can take that information and use it, I guess, in a different way, in a better way. There's an impasse that you're at when you feel these feelings coming up, you know? Um, we are reading in and out with conversation. I don't know if this is just alluding to an internal conversation that you're having, clearly, because we have like this, nostalgia thing coming up as it was connecting to the last message yesterday. But there's a lot of Mercury here as well. And so I don't know if it's gonna show up tangibly, but I guess we're alluding to there's a lot of like alluding to. What is the story that you actually tell yourself about this connection? What is the collective story currently? And I guess what is the truth? What is the current story that they tell themselves about said connection that's coming up in the reading? Current story. 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Big missed opportunity. Um, feeling it's almost like we could have had it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the 6 of Cups, feeling like this could be, obviously triggering inner child wounds with the 6 of Cups, or a feeling of closeness, or that, there's a familiarity there, especially with the 10 of Pentacles. Again, like maybe you saw a family with this person or something along those lines where it's very there's a closeness, which could also allude to probably why there's so much fear of going into any difficult emotions, because that hits close to home for you, um Wheel of Fortune. Either that, the story could be, "Oh, it just never works out for me. Luck isn't on my side when it comes to relationships." Or it could just be, like it's always the wrong time. It seems like it's always the wrong time for the other person, or maybe it wasn't the right time for you. And that, like, timing seems to always play a factor. Something out of your control, which could also allude to the victim complex, feeling like something is always out of your control, Um, we have the King of Swords upright. You feel like maybe the situation wasn't, and that's interesting because we're talking about communication so much, right? In conversations. This can be somebody that knows how to communicate very well, but maybe the communication actually broke your heart, and maybe that's why you don't even want to have another conversation. That could be something too. Like this person may have come off really cold in comparison to what you feel like this connection was, like as far as like how, there's a feeling of family and closeness and soul connection and um, and this person maybe they did give you some truth and you're having a hard time accepting that truth, because you feel like they gave you the dagger to just stab your own heart with, and you're like, "Oh, it's happening again. It's happening again." And it's like, yeah, because you're not actually the story that you may have around love or relationships is not a very positive one, like already existing background, you know, um, subconscious story that you're telling yourself already, And so it's like, "Oh, it's happening again." Because it doesn't feel like there was actually any. Were you getting into a dynamic that you actually had faith could, like, grow into something? Or were you choosing a partner subconsciously? Maybe this wasn't a conscious process, but were you choosing a partner that you already knew on a certain level you didn't feel safe with and didn't have the capacity to give you what you actually desired, you know? You have the Empress, the Strength. You get one more, the Hierophant. This feels, even though these are all upright, this feels to me like proving that you can be like, um the movie, or not the movie, I watched the show The Empress, on Netflix, and it's like the impression that they give the people is that, like, from a royal family perspective, is like, the Empress, she's lovely, she's beautiful, she's bright, she's so loving, oh my god, like, yes, 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 like, she's everything, she's like the people's princess, you know what I'm saying? She's so gracious and beautiful. But on the inside, on the internal dynamics of the royal family were actually pretty fucking brutal, and you gotta put on a happy face and act like you're happy with the dynamics because you're the empress, you know what I'm saying? This is kinda what this feels like. It's like, maybe how you perceive this, how love and relationships go, is that you have to prove you're strong enough to be able to receive a certain commitment, you know, or to be put in this position or something like that, which is odd to me. These are very contradictory feelings, yeah, King of Pentacles. For someone to choose you, 'cause King of Pentacles, which is interesting because the Emperor shouldn't be waiting for a King of Pentacles. The Emperor should be waiting for an Emperor, And so we have the Hangman in reverse, and this is like freeing you from some kind of um like, there's a perspective shift that needs to happen. There's strength and vulnerability. There's strength and, um, it takes courage to actually be patient to receive. But where do we draw the line with patience? And are we actually doing, what are like, what game are we playing right now? You know what I'm saying? Um, I think that this, on the other end of this, dynamic. This could also be read as, by choosing yourself and choosing to put yourself into a dynamic that makes you feel safe, even if that requires you being by yourself, having the strength to be by yourself and be with spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's another way to read this spread. You make room to actually receive stability, security, a stable partner, and that's what the shift that's happening. But in order to be an energetic vibrational match, for someone that can offer stability, we have to be internally, in alignment with someone that actually, shows us that they can be safe that has some kind of consistency with you, that creates an environment of safety through consistency, through presence, because it's pentacles as well, through providing, something, through showing you that he values you, showing that he's willing to invest in you. And so there's something about that where it's not just lip service with the King of Swords. And I think maybe that's why there's even not valuing some level of communication or some kind of conversation, even with past situations or even internal conversation, because the truth of this situation may be kind of painful. Um, but that was the spread of like how you perceived, was a story that you were telling yourself. So let's see what was actually going on. What was actually going on with this other connection? I heard a vibration and then I didn't see a notification. What was actually going on in this other connection? I mean, in this connection. Six of Pentacles up right now. Magician. And it landed on my light on the ground. That doesn't seem to work right now. But that's an interesting combination because it's implying that both of y'all were actually giving each other exactly what y'all needed, but you seem to value whatever that means for you. You know what I'm saying? If you valued something that wasn't so healthy, it seemed like that's what was the agreement. It seems like there's equal give and takes of something. Yeah, Four of Cups, and the Spirit is saying you can't be upset about your own story that you wrote about this, because the Four of Cups came out on the Mercury Mind card in the reverse. Again, you can't be upset about this is the contract that you signed, that you decided, subconsciously, even by what you were willing to accept, that this is the type of dynamic that you wanted to be in based off of the subconscious stories that you tell in your mind. So it's not a bad thing, the Fool. It's something that you didn't know existed or was running in this way in the background until you go and experience it, right? We have an internal tower happening where you can see where you've had issues with transitioning something to the next level by something being on repeat. Maybe this is a particular level that has been on repeat. When I'm saying level, I'm like, like a particular pattern that you keep hitting up against the same wall. Um, and it's because we're just saying that this is what you're bringing it in, because these are the stories that you tell yourself about love and relationships. And this last relationship seemed to be, or whatever, dynamic seemed to be a catalyst to actually being able to shed light on this. And it's interesting because all these cards are dark except for this Fool card where it's like, oh, I feel like a fool. You know what I'm saying? But there's enlightenment there. And that's what I was saying with that Sun card. And underneath the Mercury Mind is like, oh, you may not like the story you may not like what is revealed, but it's not about instant gratification. It's about long term, rewriting the story. So we have the Five of Swords, and it like pushed the Magician to the side when it landed in reverse. So it's about not fighting yourself, because on one hand, I feel like you desire something new, a new experience in love and relationship and dynamics. Um, but internally, subconsciously, the shadow aspect of self is like, no, that Capricorn energy, the limitation, your own self-imposed limitation is like, no. There's a lot of fear around it. And then we have the Sun, and then we have the Page of Cups. So this leads us all back to forgiveness, right? when we see what has been in the dark, in order to release it, we have to be able to forgive ourselves and others, because they're really not the villain in any of our stories, right? That my person was never the villain. We're our own villains. The strength and Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Swords. So this is how you level up your story in love, I guess, in relationships. Um, so that's interesting. The Two of Wands. So that's the impasse that you keep bumping up against, or the collective keeps bumping up as. And I'm saying the collective. I say that because it's like reading style, but I'm very much included in the collective. I want everybody to understand, like I'm not talking at anybody. Um, this is definitely. I think that they're just confirming what I'm saying right now. That through doing these readings, through doing these messages for the collective, I very much feel like I get to have a sneak peek into my own subconscious a lot of the times, which is very, hard to pin down what's going on back there sometimes. And that's why we have the world to learn from, right? Our experiences. But it's like by doing this for the collective and like speaking and walking through things, like I'm very much learning about my own subconscious, and it helps me to shift my perspectives. So I'm very appreciative of that as well. Um, so yeah. Anything else? You have the King of Swords. They're um still going back to the conversation. We have the Three of Cups, the King of Cups, the Five of Pentacles. I feel like there are situations that may show up for you, or that might have just shown up for you as of recently, that may prompt you to get into your forgiveness practice, your forgiveness back. I don't know exactly how they may show up for you, but I'm seeing several situations where spirit's like, so let's put this into practice. Like, we're waiting. I feel like this is all obviously, 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 the collective, aka me, needs some practice with this. It's very uncomfortable for me, sometimes. But I think that it's leading to obviously inner union with self, because there are aspects of you that deserve to be forgiven, that want to be integrated, that want to be seen, that want to be accepted, that don't want to be rejected. There are aspects of you that don't need to keep playing victim. There are aspects of you that deserve true love and like divine union. Not just certain aspects, like you deserve divine union. You know what I'm saying? Like you deserve to experience that like unconditional love, right? But I do also like, I guess I should just leave it at that, because I'm just feeling like I'm trying to make it connect to something else. Am I? Yeah, I feel like strength. Yeah. I'm just gonna leave it there. I think I got the message across. I think that spirit is definitely inviting you to soften the threads, um, in connection to others, and that may look like forgiveness on your own accord, between you and your journal. But it softens that thread where it frees both of you, honestly. But it definitely frees you to where you can just love a little lighter, love a little bit without so much constraint, love with a little bit more trust. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I think that applies to you first before it can be extended to anyone else. So I'm gonna leave it there. I don't know if it's saved or not. If not, this was definitely a reading for myself. So I appreciate you for sticking through it, and I hope that you have a beautiful, blessed night. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can DM me. Okay. Or look for my stand store / Maxine Samone.